happy birthday last week, Jacob.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank
How does
you.
it feel? How does it feel to be in 2 digits?
Happy.
Good. That's how it's going to be for all the 2-digit birthdays for the rest of your life. And then the 3-digit ones, you'll be pretty happy too, I'm sure.
Okay, now you're back.
I heard that you weren't well last week, and that's why you couldn't be here for your birthday. What happened?
So I've been sick for like the last 3 weeks, just fever off and on. And then last week I had a fever for 5 days straight.
Oh my goodness.
My mom took me into urgent care, and then we got home, and then my mom got a call from the emergency room and said from urgent care and said I needed to go to the emergency room. And then I ended up getting admitted to the emergency room.
And what was that like? Do you remember any of it?
That the pancakes were yummy.
Do you remember your doctor? No memory of the doctor. Pancakes just beat doctors any day. So that's good. And did you have have you been able to have a birthday cake?
I had an ice cream Oreo cake, yeah.
Ooh, that is.
I had some last night.
And that's your mom, Renee. We know her as Renee. You know her as mom. I think that's something different. She did. She made sure she saved you. She made sure you were okay. That's her job. And your brother Michael, did he wish you happy birthday?
Yes. The one point my grandma came to visit, I was locked. I wasn't allowed to leave the room I was admitted to, and the one point she came to visit, she wasn't allowed to come into the room, and I wasn't allowed to leave the room, so I couldn't go see her.
That's the problem right now of being in this time. This is COVID time. You will always remember it because you turned 10. And that's the day you became double-digit Michael. I mean, double-digit Jacob. Sorry, double-digit Jacob. I nearly got it wrong. And Renee, how are you?
Hanging
Mother
in there.
Courage.
Hanging
How are
in
you
there.
doing? Because I heard your school shut down.
Yeah.
Mel told me, and you loved that job.
I did love that job.
Why? Do you know why they shut down?
They just couldn't afford to stay open without any enrollment.
Well, I know you're going to be fine because you've got to be a very special teacher, and if you can find a school as special as that one, because I believe it was a Montessori school, which are pretty marvelous. If you can find a school, if there's another school as special as that one nearby, you'll be taken up in a heartbeat. How have you been? I haven't talked to you since the very first day.
We've been okay. You know, it's long. This has been long.
Yeah, it's very long. And is your state? Are you easing up a little in the state? What's the status?
No. We were easing up and things are opening, but cases are rising. So the governor just set new metrics for schools. Yeah. That we are still going to be doing virtual learning in the fall for now.
So that's
and they reevaluate every 6 weeks.
Yeah. Well, you have a stunningly beautiful boy who made it all the way to 10. So you've done a brilliant job. And I know that you continue a brilliant job. So tell me, have you guys cooked anything together?
He helped make his ice cream Oreo cake yesterday.
Gosh, can you remember how it was made? Because maybe other people want to know how to make an ice cream Oreo cake. Can you tell us what you have to do?
No.
I
just did what my dad told me to. He found a recipe for like a carrot cake thingy bobber, and then we
watch a lot of YouTube cooking shows.
So do I.
A chocolate cake.
Great. Okay, I see, Jacob. That makes sense. I watch lots of different shows on grilling and smoking, and I'm obsessed with master sushi chefs making master sushi creations. I don't know what that's about. I mean, it suits me, that kind of deep dive into doing something so perfectly to achieve a perfect thing. Well, I bet your ice cream Oreo cake was perfect.
It was quite delicious.
I bet. And did you eat it all, or did you share any?
I shared it, of course.
Okay, that's good. We like that. What are you playing at the moment, Jacob? What's your favorite game right now?
Minecraft.
I don't know anything about Minecraft, and it's the most famous game.
I just got it for my... I also got that for my birthday. My mom and dad got it for me.
Wow. What's your favorite thing about Minecraft? How does it work? What do you do?
Well, technically, it's like the real world, but everything is squares.
Okay.
And I'm playing in the more challenging modes. It's called survival mode.
Yeah.
So I managed to spawn near a village, which has helped me a lot. I have beds, which means I could sleep through the night. If I was not able to do that, I would have to stay up the entire night and fight spiders, skeletons, creepers, and these are all things that try to kill you.
Oh my goodness. And you have to mine, I take it. Mm-hmm. You have to just mine all the time. And what happens with all the stuff you mine? Are you mining what? Are you mining rocks? Mining gold? Are you mining metal?
Well, you mine through stone, which turns into cobblestone, and if you smelt it in your furnace, it turns into stone, which I find making no sense at all.
You're probably right about that. But I used to play a game called Ultimate Online, which was, I guess, a kind of early version of Minecraft. And I spent too long cutting trees down to get wood and mining rocks to make various things to furniture for my house. All in a world that I didn't actually live in, but I found it real fun. And do you have to fight things?
During the day, the mobs will light on fire or despawn.
Wow, okay. That sounds hard.
The only thing I do have to fight are drowns, which do not burn up in the daylight.
Okay, so drowns.
A drowned is a zombie that has drowned in water.
Oh wow, okay. So yeah, a drowned zombie. So do you think they drowned after they became zombies, or drowned to become zombies? Tricky one.
They're a zombie, and then they go into water and they drown.
Right, so they double die.
Yeah.
And they double come back to life. That's pretty cool. That's a neat trick. That's what we do. That's what we do with zombies if they ever invade, which I don't expect they ever will. But is we just put them in the swimming pool, drown them. The paddling pool in my case. Well, Renee, thank you. I want to talk to you very soon, just another time, because this is definitely Jacob's time. But I would love to catch up, because I think we've got a lot of catching up to do, because we've been doing this for 17 weeks, and I know, or something like that. Yeah. And that's how long you've had to endure this and keep coming up with ideas and make sure everybody's happy in your house and fed and watered. And I really treasure your experience. So can you please come back and talk to me? And obviously bring Michael and Jacob. But I'll be focusing on you. Is that okay?
Yes, very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Well, happy birthday again, Jacob. And I'll see you around. All right? Give me a wave.
Wave. Thank you.
Take good care, sweetheart.
We're going to go over to Patrick next. Patrick Q.
You're in Toronto, which is probably staggeringly hot about it. Are you still working? Are you still working, or are you not working during the COVID?
No, totally working. Working from home, which has actually been great for me because I hate my commute. And I've actually been even busier during the crisis, because a lot of what I've been doing has, I've done my best to sort of, try to reorient what my team and I do to support, COVID stimulus and recovery efforts with a bit of a green and sustainability lens. For about 13 years, I was a diplomat working on a lot of the climate change discussions, some environment security efforts and things like that. So now that Yeah, fun stuff. Now that I'm here, it's been really nice trying to, work with a number of different stakeholders to try and say, hey, we can do this while reducing pollution, but adding jobs too. And, you just hope someone listens.
That's really interesting because I'm living in a country right now in the States, a few hours south of you in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Where we just, I think I speak on behalf of a lot of ordinary people. We're just very confused about best practice. I mean, we know what to do. We know we're supposed to put masks on and yada, yada, yada. And we know kind of how to stop each other getting infected. But or at least to try and mitigate that, what we don't get a really good handle on is from a national perspective, from a bird's eye point of view. What are you recommending to people as like a good, just a basic, this country's doing well, this is what they're doing, and this is what we should aim for? Someone like Canada is doing quite well already.
Well, I mean, I'd say we're about middle of the pack globally. I mean, we're certainly not where, New Zealand or South Korea or Taiwan is, but one of the things that I think is remarkable about what we've had, and I was actually a bit surprised about this, was, you've got politicians of various stripes at, our provincial level, similar to the state level in the US, and at the national level, who normally, they're fighting like cats and dogs. They're just at each other's throats in the most petty partisan way. But when this hit, no matter what the political stripe, they seemed to put that aside and said, we still have our agendas, but none of us are doctors. We are going to listen to the health experts. We're going to listen to the health tables. And that is how we're going to decide this. And I think it's that sort of unity where everyone is just looking out for each other. This is bigger than any one of us. We all got to take care of each other, and that way we'll get out of it faster, right?
Yeah. I miss unity. I miss national unity. It's not until you, 2 or 3 years into a discordant, massively split population, where it's no longer kind of tiny little pockets of problem, you will come across people in your general wider family who are really belligerently set against each other, antithetical. And I don't remember that in my lifetime. I'm 54, and and I've been through some pretty tricky times. I mean, in the early 80s were probably the hardest time that I remember, with Margaret Thatcher playing her song and Ronnie Reagan playing his song, and the Cold War and all of that stuff. But I mean, I think the US doesn't involve itself internationally enough. They should have a national sports team. They should do and be proud when the US wins as a nation against India or England or whoever. They don't really do that except for the Olympics, and thank God, women's soccer, which may teach the whole of America a lesson, because you can all get behind that, and we do as a nation, even in England, who are pretty sorry for ourselves in England with what we've been doing. We've got a sort of mini version of this experiment in the States. But my goodness, if our football team or cricket team wins, everybody's on the same side tomorrow, the next day and the next day. And then we find ways to just despair of each other again. So I think my biggest problem right now living in the States, and my biggest observation is that the disunity is killing the country. It's killing the culture. It's killing the love and we have to work really hard as a social club to recreate it, get it back. They're like, oh, come on, everybody here is okay.
You miss the national unity in the U.S. And I think a lot of that's being stoked. I think there's a lot more that binds people together that fractures us. And I think people need to, kind of tune out of those, social media or talk radio outlets that make money on driving us apart, and really look at each other in the eye and look at each other across the fence post and say, we can go back to fighting like cats and dogs tomorrow. Now's the time to be together. If you don't have it, I'm happy to drop you the bag of potatoes. Like we can all share and be in this together and help each other out. And that's how we get to the end of this.
That is well said, Patrick. Thank you. I mean, I think that, we have friends in Brazil, and Brazil, I know, are just going through the most painful time right now Brazil's got such a huge population who are below a level of income that and living so close together. I feel really sorry for friends from Brazil, although they might correct me. They might be like, no, Brazil's great. I don't know, but I've just what I read on the newspapers. I don't think I can leave you, having done international climate change negotiations, without touching on that. Climate change is obvious, and even children, Jacob knows that climate change is happening, and he just hit 10. What did you find were the biggest problems, and what was your greatest pleasure? More important, I didn't want to stick to the negatives.
Well, I mean, the pleasure of it wasn't actually the international climate negotiation. It was actually working with a number of different countries and organizations to use, where possible, the impacts of climate change as a source of cooperation. So where you've seen the impacts of climate change harming water resources or harming agricultural resources, looking at that as an avenue for cooperation and peace rather than conflict, that was my greatest joy. But yeah. I think you've raised a really good point as to, we have all of these other issues that seemingly we can agree on, or at least in some part attack or do something. But this one seems different. And despite my time on it, the only thing I can come back to is this: whether it was the ozone layer or water pollution or air pollution causing asthma, those are immediate. You can see them.
Yeah.
You can look at your neighbor, you can look at your children, you can look at your parents and say, this is happening now. We can look at it and say, oh God, we have to, we need to address this. With climate change, it's more the boiling the lobster in the pot. It's not immediate. So It can always be put off. It can be put off. It can be put off until it can't. And then it's too late. And, I've been in debates with various groups on this, and I look at it not just from an environmental perspective, but from a systems economic perspective, right? You can't have an economy if your resources are all destroyed. You can't. It's impossible. Yeah. You can't have an economy if your workforce is sick. You need to look at this as a balanced perspective. And the only thing I come back to is that it's because it's, when most countries are looking at 4 or 5 or 6 year electoral cycles or otherwise, it's very difficult for them to scope it 30, 40, 50 years out. And, go back to 1997, go back to 1992. We're now 30 years out from that, but those politicians are all retired. Some are dead. It's not as crunchy as ozone or air pollution. And it's the sort of thing where we need to stop, personally, I think, looking at it as, the sky is falling in 10 years. That's a perpetual 10 years. We just need to start looking at it in terms of the crunchy bits. Hey, if we do energy efficiency, we save money. Hey, if we do this, our air is cleaner. And then we get to the bigger picture by deploying the crunchier short-term solutions, because that's what most people can handle. Okay. And I'm going to ask you one last question, which I'm curious about. And it's a very simple one, because it's always been really interesting. It puzzled me, confused me. Nuclear, not nuclear. Thorium. So, because nuclear, reactors providing energy is supposed to be a panacea, clean, very unlikely to blow up and cause problems like 3 Mile Island or, Chernobyl. Yeah. Or even recently in Japan. These are 50-year apart intervals. Is that a smart interim thing to take away to stop the other thing? I know it's very expensive. Well, that's the bigger issue. It's the expense, right? Is it worth your while to invest in something that, starts off as a $10 billion project and ends as a $25 billion project? I'd say, with no official hat on, I've been very curious to learn more about the technology like the thorium reactors, which seem to be both unweaponizable and a lot cheaper. And I don't know why they haven't been commercialized. I'm not a nuclear scientist, but the thorium technology, I kind of look at every once in a while when the articles pop up. This seems very interesting. Well, we'll have someone on this site who will answer. Patrick, I couldn't be more grateful. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for filling us in on a lot of stuff that is just way above our heads. Okay, we're going to go to Nancy, who has some artwork that she would like to share. So I'm going to let her talk for a few minutes while I get the screen sharing thing figured out. How you doing?
Okay, well, better last week. Last week, between a power outage and a brief hospital stay, it was crazy. I bet. And that was the hurricane thing, yeah? Yeah, oh my God. And there are people who still don't have power. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like in Queens and all.
Man.
And I lost it Tuesday on the day of the storm. I didn't get it back until Saturday night. But I was at the hospital at the time, so.
Yeah, and are you okay?
Yeah, it was a kidney infection, but I'm okay now.
I'm glad
But
to
I still have to go follow up and stuff like that. But
yeah. And what have you been up to?
Excuse me?
Have you been making any new art? Have you been doing anything fun?
Where are they?
The Flintstones. The kids.
Yes, this is when they first met each other.
That's very sweet.
I donated some of the paintings I made of the pictures you're gonna see.
Yeah.
I donated them to oh, there she goes. She's gonna show them.
Wow, that's amazing, Nancy.
Yeah, he looks a little scary there. My art teacher's like, whoa.
I don't think he looks scary at all. I think he looks very benign. I've seen him look a lot scarier without the makeup on.
Oh, too bad Andy's still not here.
That's really terrific. Oh, there's Renee. Odo. That's a beautiful likeness. That's a really beautiful. You've made a beautiful portrait there. Let's go. That's Quark. That's really fantastic. Oh, that's really lovely too. What medium are you using?
Oil.
Gosh, this is fantastic work, Nancy.
Yeah, I use like pencil and dip it into the white paint and create the stars.
Wow. How long? When did you finish these? And when did you start these?
I did these a few years ago. I used to when I still lived in Lynbrook. Yeah. And I went to like art class at the rec center.
Wow, they're great. They're great. They're really great.
I don't remember. I stopped putting the dates on my thing. I should.
No, they're fantastic. Thanks for sharing those with us. That's really cool. So, what's the interesting you're watching on TV right now? What's happening?
Oh, well, before I was on here, I was watching Hell's Kitchen.
I want to get. Have you seen something called? This is going to might be really controversial, but my wife and I really enjoyed it. And it's called Love on the Spectrum. Have you seen that?
No, I don't have Netflix.
Ah,
I know.
Okay. I hardly ever watch TV, and my wife dragged me down and said, well, "You've got to watch this. These guys are fantastic." And anyway, that's what the show's called. I'm sure I'll hear if it's not for some reason.
I used to have Netflix. I used to share with my daughter, but then she stopped getting it. So.
Do they have good produce around you? Do they sell good produce in your part of New York?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, ShopRite's definitely the cheapest of the three stores. Yeah, and that's one close to me. Well, yeah. Let's say like the red onions, like the potatoes are like the loose ones are like 1 cent a pound. You go to King Colin, they're like over twice that.
Oh wow! Why? Oh, I've got a good idea. For you. Red onions. You mentioned red onions.
Yeah.
And lettuce and a tomato. Just a little bit of lettuce and a tomato. Chop them up. Put them in a salad. And don't make a dressing. Don't buy a dressing.
Well, I don't really like dressing anyway.
Squeeze a little lemon juice on it, but the same amount of water. So lemon juice, water, and salt. And that's how they make salad in many parts of India. Yeah. It's a very, very simple recipe, and it's absolutely delicious. So if you need that, and also it doesn't cost the earth. But then you'll have a nice salad for lots of different events. Yeah. And you can add to it. You can put cucumbers and carrots. But you don't have to go crazy by buying Paul Newman's own.
I know. It was funny when I would go to a restaurant with my sister. She always wondered, why do I get dressing on my salad? I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like wet lettuce. I like it nice and dry and crispy.
Okay, yeah. Well, you've had some bad experiences, but it's not the wetness that makes the salad go wet. It's the oil being on the lettuce for too long that makes it go wet. don't deny yourself a little lemon juice, a little water, a little salt, and that will
I
be
guess I was
delicious.
the way it was, just everything dry and I just like dry.
Well, it's really delightful to see you again, Nancy. Thanks for showing us your art. Thanks for coming round. You always light up our day.
I'm waiting for Mel to send that picture to Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. She will. She's reliable.
To him.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks for coming around.
So thank you everybody for joining us. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.